it goes live because it has a tendency not to. But welcome everybody to the Soul Food Book Club. And we've got a great gathering today. I can't wait for this discussion. I am so excited about this book that we're reading. But first I want to I want to introduce people who are here. I can't talk. Somebody else has got to host this today because obviously my words are just like running over top of each other. So we have Jean L'Oreal in Texas. Hi, Jean.
The co-host.
Beautiful. We have Erica Hoppy and Charlie Coons in New York. We have Mary Lou up in Massachusetts.
Hiya.
Christina Leftwich in Michigan. Linda Lemieux down in Florida. And Grace Isis, I believe you're in New York. our traveling woman.
Hello.
Are you still in New York or are you back in Florida?
I'm in Florida. I leave next week, Thursday.
Okay. Wow. So this is our family that comes together and reads together and then discusses what we're reading. And I can't wait for this discussion today. The book is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Anybody have your book you can hold up? There we go. Why do we have
different Christina's got a full one.
Why do you have a different cover? I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's just a different printing is all. Okay. Yeah. I got mine from a bookstore. So, like a like used bookstore type thing. Mm-hmm. So
awesome. Well, I love them both. And I love the book itself. I have really enjoyed this, even though I don't have the physical book and I'm struggling with the Kindle version, but the content is just amazing. So I just want to open it up, and I know we're all at different places, I think, in the book. Definitely. But I think we're all getting such wonderful things from wherever we're at, whatever we're reading. So whoever would like to take the ball and run with it, and Stacy's watching. Stacy, you should be on here with us.
Yes.
Jump on in if you can. So let's just talk about the 5-second rule and what we're learning in the book itself. And I'm learning all kinds of things. I love stories. So when she tells us a story about something, that just really piques my interest. And I'm like, I want more. I want to know more. And Stacy's driving, so she can't join us right now.
Oh.
Okay, Stacy. Well, thank you for listening.
Going to work, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that time of day. Okay. Anybody?
Well, we finished the book yesterday.
Oh, good for you.
So we're glad about that. And the very end, I'll just read, and then I'll share our cutouts that we picked out.
Yes.
Because we were supposed to do cutouts and
I have mine.
and so I didn't get a chance to print them, but I marked them in the book, so I'll show them. And
okay.
He didn't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it. We just finished now.
Yeah, because Erica has me running in circles, so it's always Erica's fault. Just remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, you can move mountains. Whatever is happening right now, this is it. This is your life. And it's not going to begin again. You can't change the past, but in 5 seconds, you can change your future. That's the power of everyday courage. When your heart speaks, honor it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. One moment of courage can change your day. One day can change your life, and your life can change the world. There is greatness in you. The time to reveal it is now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Beautiful.
Right.
I love
That
that.
sums it up pretty well.
It does.
Yeah, I hope nobody was waiting for a surprise ending. But it's really told you.
I'm sorry if
I think you should kick him out of the book club.
Yeah,
Reading the last page.
No, it's
But
not the
I'm-
last page.
Oh,
We,
But
I
I'm glad
actually,
Pretty
I
close,
actually-
huh?
I thought it was over, but then I looked, there's a blank page, and then there's, if you love this book, you'll love its free gift even more. 31 free video coaching sessions from me. I didn't even realize that.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I'm glad you read that particular passage, Charlie, because for me this week, the thing that stood out the most from this book was when I was reading about Rosa Parks. I don't know if all of you have gotten to that part.
Yeah.
And I loved that when she was asked the question over and over and over again, why did you do that? Why did you do what you did? Why did you not, why did you stand up for yourself and not give up your seat? And it was just a spur of the moment. I'd had enough. And it was like acting in that moment and not stopping to think about what you're doing. She didn't stop and say, oh, this is going to be, something big, or this is going to create conflict. It was just that gut, I've had enough, and this is what I'm going to do. And look at how that changed the world. Look at what happened as a result of that. And then the part I didn't know was about Martin Luther King Jr., that he was the young minister that was asked to lead that bus
Boycott.
protest. Yeah,
Boycott.
And look at what happened from that. So it's like what she was saying there at the end of the book, Charlie. You can change not just your life, you can change the world with these monumental things that at the moment, it's not like you're thinking it's going to be a monumental thing. You're just following your gut and doing what you know to do and what's coming forward for you. So I totally agree. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it is life-changing on many levels.
Yeah.
That really surprised me too, because I don't have a very good, which you all know, time concept. And I had thought the Martin Luther King program was well established by the time Rosa Parks did this, to find out that she was before Martin Luther King. She took her stand before he started all his, was really enlightening to me. And that's, to me, what you said, Charlie, is so true, that her book is more about courage.
Yes.
And that courage is not something that you build or you think about, or it's something that at that particular moment, you just have had enough and you stand up for what's right, what is right. That's what Rosa Parks said. It was right. It was, right. And that really hit home with me. And, the great procrastinator. So it was wonderful. I enjoyed that part so much. Yeah.
Yeah, the courage is a big thing in the book, and you just gotta get out of the fear. And it's hard to take that step. Of course, people give it more than a 5 second. If you have the courage to start, you have the courage to succeed. That's one of the cutouts in the book.
And Mel has said that confidence is not a personality trait, that it's a skill that you build, and that many times people, and probably like Rosa, they didn't have a lot of self-esteem. They didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They just took action. in that moment and said, this is the right thing to do, like you said, Jean, you know, and because of that, you know, her confidence was built because of that. Her courage was built.
Well, I think that's what spoke to me too, is that, I don't know, I see things differently, but to me that you don't have to be, that if you do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's an instinctive thing that you do for what is right. And you haven't thought about it. You haven't built up courage. You haven't, it's just at that moment. And that made me feel good that everybody has that. Everybody has that ability that at that moment they do what is right. And they do it right then. They don't think about the repercussions. They don't think about, well, if I do this, I'm going to wind in jail and my family's going to go through all this. And, they just do it because it's the right thing to do right then. And like you say, then they become the courageous, confident person. And since I'm a weakling, that makes me feel good that the time is going to come maybe when I stand up and say, no, no. No. Do what's right. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I just look at things cockeyed. My daddy always used to say that.
Like
y'all
how
look
she
so
was
pretty today. I can't believe it. I'm sorry.
I'm going to tell you something because I just got in on the tail end of a conversation when I came in late just before we came on, and you were like dialing yourself up. I'm just going to say, I threw these on to look really super fancy. And this little jacket thing, because underneath it, do you see what I'm wearing? I'm wearing a t-shirt. I have no makeup on. I threw in some hoop earrings. Don't I look awesome? But I was cleaning the house. Okay, that's what I was doing. And I just this is the real me. This is it. And I think here we can be real us's.
Oh, yes.
I think we all can do that. But I just wanted to say, as far as this book goes, I also wanted to point out something. I think there's a lot of things that polarize us. Right now, we're in a very polarized situation. And one of the things that is polarized, in my opinion, is science versus non-science and spiritual things. And so one of the things that I have noticed in this book is that she talks about her journey with her own mental illness. And that is something that has had a tremendous stigma on people. And she is very real that even with all of these techniques that she has written books about, that she gives classes on, that she does all these wonderful things, and I'm certain, come a very far way. She also is very real with the fact that she is taking pharmaceuticals. And I think that's important. I mean, for me, it's been an incredibly frustrating situation. I know 15 years ago when I went into the holistic health field, I wanted to have science look at me in a way that was legitimate. And now I feel like an incredible flip-flop. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me, but I have an incredible flip-flop now where I was 15 years ago, where now I believe like science is being thrown into the garbage. And so for me, I liked this book in that she used both, which is a position that I often want to come from, is the both part. So I just wanted to say I really did appreciate that she isn't tossing one or the other out the door. She's doing this blend, and I really appreciate that blend. And I mean, like I said, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm biased because that is my opinion too, that until we get to that point where we can meld each other and not put each other down and not have to lie about things in order to get our point across, that's that, you know, I appreciate that she was honest and said, I'm on pharmaceutical drugs as well, in addition to all of these other things. And then she goes on to say, and I still sometimes have bad days, or I still sometimes struggle with this. I'm certainly not over anxiety. Nowhere in this book does she say that she cured her anxiety from using any of these methods. That's not what she ever makes that kind of a thing. And she doesn't blame her illness on not being spiritual enough or not being vibing enough. She's just really honest about that. And I just find that to be a breath of fresh air in this particular time where everything is one or the other, no matter what subject it is. It seems like I liked that she melded that together and was real and honest about it.
Yeah, and not showing herself as perfect.
No, or lacking because she has to do one or the other. You're at both. You know what I mean? There's no judgment there. She goes on and says how magnificent Zoloft has been for her in her particular instance. And she does, and all these other things. You know what I mean? Like I said, I like how she's brought them all, and she doesn't put one down in order to lift one up. I just really appreciated that.
Yeah, she is so relatable because she's showing us her vulnerabilities as well as her huge insights. So we're seeing a real person, not just if she just presented this is the rule and it helps everything no matter what, then it would be like, really? But what if, you know, but because she is being vulnerable, and Christina, thank you for pointing that out. I think because she is being vulnerable with us, we're able to accept it even more.
Because there really is a lot of stigmas out there, especially concerning pharmaceutical drugs when it comes, not only do you have to deal with this mental illness, but then you have people that are like, don't you dare use that drug. Everything should be from your spiritual perspective. Like this person, if only they were more spiritual, they wouldn't have any illness anymore in this world. And it's gotta be you. It's gotta be you and what you're doing. I like that she's like, no, I'm not even going to go down that road one way or the other. And that really helps because we really do have a terrible stigma with mental illness in this country. It is a terrible stigma. And I think it's because there's a lot of uncertainty about it. And so whenever we have uncertainty, we allow our brains to come up with whatever stories we want to fit in, or narrative or reality that to help us deal with it. But I mean, we really don't know everything there is to know about the human brain for certain. And like I said, I really feel for mental illness. You know, I am fortunate enough to be pretty healthy overall. But I have seen so many people struggle with very real mental illnesses and having a lot of different things being pushed on them from all over. That instead of just saying, hey, we're not sure, but we have these different things that we can try. And it may take years before we come to some kind of a situation where it's workable. You know, and she kind of goes into that. It's taken her years. And like I said, she still has days. She still has days that she wakes up and she's anxious or having the beginnings of a panic attack straight from out of bed, you know? And I just appreciate that, you know, I don't know, I just think we can all do better. And she
one
kind
of the
shows
things that she says, one of the things she says is to always go back to remembering that you have an anchor. I liked the expression, anchor thought, to prevent fear from taking over your mind. Yes. You know, so when you have that sense of anxiety, that sense of being intimidated, that sense of, you know, anything that makes you less than who you are created to be, you know, go back to some kind of anchor thought And then there's this awesome thing that's written in bold print by L.R. Nost. I don't know him. I'm not familiar. It might be a woman, even L.R. I don't know. But is it okay if I read that? Because it's quite beautiful.
What page is it?
No, I don't have a page on this.
Okay.
It's
161.
I'm going by the summary 5-second rule. It says life is amazing, and then it's awful, and then it's amazing again. And in between the amazing and the awful, it's ordinary and mundane and routine. What page is it, Tina? Does it have a page?
163.
163.
That's
If
in the
you want to follow with it.
It's in the hardcover book.
And then it says, breathe in the amazing, hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale during the ordinary. That's just living. Heartbreaking, soul healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life. And it's breathtakingly beautiful. And I think that, Charlie, I did write my thing like I did my homework. And I loved this one. Can you see it?
Lean into
magic, joy, opportunity, and relationship. My mom always said to me when I was growing up, and I'd go through times like that author was saying, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I remember my mom saying to me, life is made of mountains and valleys. And when you have the mountains to climb, just hang in there. And when you have the valleys, relax and enjoy, because the mountains are going to come again. But when you have the valleys, enjoy them, embrace them, because you're building your strength, you're building your energy, you're building your grace, and so it's just part of who we are, what our makeup is, who we're made to be, and it's that expression, it's all good. I get in trouble sometimes, because some people who are hurting say it's not all good. They don't want to hear that, and I don't mean that it's always feeling good, but it's all good, because we will get through the hardships. And I think that's what I took from her book, from her 5-second rule, that give it 5 seconds, and act on it. But in the meantime, know it's okay. It's going to be all right. That it might take more than 5 seconds for some of it, but in those times we can breathe, we can, just relax into it, and it will be okay.
It's amazing. Thank you. It's amazing that some of what Teri is giving us, some of the tools, I did see something reflected here in this book. It's roughly on page 168, 169, where she says that fear takes over from love, that when she was looking at her daughter and she felt so much love, this swell of love, the next thing it was worry that, oh my goodness, I have to protect, etc. And then she says, I was not going to allow the habit of worrying to derail me from being in the present and taking a mental photograph. Then I asked myself 2 simple questions. What am I grateful for in this moment? What do I want to remember? When you ask that simple question, you impact your brain at a biological level. In order to respond, you have to take stock of your life, relationships, and work, and search for an answer in the moment. It forces you to focus on the positive aspects of your life. As soon as you think about what you are grateful for, you'll start feeling grateful instead of worried. The answer to the question was clear to me. I was grateful to have such an incredible young woman as my daughter. This is the heart-brain coherence. That's what she's talking about, but not in those words. And we do it every morning with Teri and the I am, because that takes us back into what are you grateful for? Who are you inside? What is it? And I think that is so powerful, because she's taken that tool that we are all doing every morning and it's right here, but in another pretty flowers, other pretty flowers, not orchids. But yeah, so thank you, Teri. You're a step ahead, but you're with Mel. I thought that was wonderful.
Thank you, Grace Isis.
Yeah.
Yes, there are so many tools we can use, and this 54321 tool that we're now aware of is a beautiful one. Somebody who was talking about anchoring, was that you, Mary Lou?
Yes.
Yeah, that is it's a neuralistic programming technique, and I've used that many times. I even have a video on my YouTube channel to help if you want to anchor in something, and you say it's called the touchstone, and you have something, it can be even a part of your body that you anchor in a good feeling. So when you start getting that anxious moment or the fear or doubt, you can touch that, whatever it is. If it's like your hand, you can touch your hand, or if you have a piece of jewelry that you're always wearing, you can program it in there. But you program the good feeling in. That's the anchoring. You anchored that feeling in, so that when you need to pull on that, you just touch it. And that's all it's needed. It's just to touch it, and it'll bring forth that good feeling for you. So I love that she's incorporated some of these things like anchoring and like the heart brain method. You know, it really does teach us that the more we open ourselves to possibilities, the more there is that we can pull on and use in any given moment. We have everything we need. And when we're becoming more and more aware of those and put them in our toolbox, our life gets so much better, doesn't it? It's like we know that we're supported. We know that we have all of these resources to draw on. And I'm just so grateful that we're doing this book and that we're learning more things and more ways of looking at things, more perspective. But I have my cutout that I want to share because I love this quote. And what I'm going to do is, see, I have the power. I can share my screen. I'm going to share my screen because this is my cutout that I chose. And I have said this so many times, and I teach this all the time to my people that I work with that come to me for help. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Whichever way you're going with that thought process, that's the way it's going to be for you. If you are determined and you say, yes, I can, like you were reading Charlie at the end of the book, yes, I can, then yes, indeed, that will happen. You can do it. But if you've already talked yourself out of it by saying, I can't do that, then no, you can't. You know, so you're right. Whichever way you choose, whatever decision you make, that you live with the consequences of those decisions. So that was my favorite one that I chose to share. And I'd love to hear some of the others.
All right. This one's Erica's. I'll put it up there. It's backwards. I don't know if you see it backwards, but I do.
No,
it's good. Right way.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's the same one I chose.
It's okay to be scared. Being scares me you're about to do something really, really brave.
Yay.
Yay, Grace.
That's the one Erica chose. So you you got matching pictures.
That's right.
Why did you choose that one, Erica?
I liked it. We were going through the book, and that was the one, and that resonated with me the most. Like we went through a bunch, and that just resonated with me the most.
Yeah, she had another one, but then she went with that one. The other one was on 111, I think.
It was hard to choose.
It was.
No.
Yeah, it was this one. I'm tired. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's raining. It's too late. Let's go.
Let's go.
That was the original one I had. And then as we were going through the book, I said, No, I like
I
that
love
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Now, the one I chose was this one. There'll always be someone who don't let it be you.
Don't let it be you.
And there will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you.
Right. That's great.
So that one resonated with me. Like, yeah.
You know, I didn't do my homework because it wasn't here last time. But the one thing that has stuck out for me, and it was similar to what you all are saying right now, is when she was talking to her daughter, and her daughter had the opportunity to try out for some musical program, because she'd always sung. She'd always been a beautiful singer, and she didn't do it. And when she asked her why she didn't do it, she said, it's because what if I'm not as good as I think I am, you know? And she thought a minute and she said to her, but what if you are? Mm-hmm. And that made me think, because there's so many times that I don't do things because I'm so afraid that I'm going to fail, that I'm not going to be good enough. But what if I am? You know, you don't give yourself the opportunity to try. And it kind of goes along with what you all are saying is, you know, don't be scared. Don't, you know, and don't think that you have no worth if somebody, just because somebody else might think you don't have worth, you know the worth that you have. So you can do anything. No, so.
Did any of you ever have an experience which was a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that you felt really proud of yourself when you did it? You know, like for me, I was thinking about that this week. I'm cheating a little because I had time to think about it, you know, but you know, one time I was leading a group of teenagers, and it was for a ceremony. And I taught them a song. I gave them an option from 2 songs, and which one would you like? And they chose one. And I made the mistake of saying it's going to be a secret for the person that's in charge. And because it was always somebody over me. Of course, you know, I might be a leader, but I wasn't the one always in charge. And that person got wind of it, that I said it would be a surprise for them. And they didn't appreciate it. They weren't coming from where I was. I was coming from love and, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful for these young people to participate? And they were willing, you know, we practiced for 3 weeks in a row, and we were all ready to do it. And I was told at the rehearsal, that's not to be done with the kids. I don't agree with that. You're putting them on the spot. I don't want it done. And I said, okay, you know, so that was the rehearsal. Well, between the rehearsal and the actual ceremony, another person was in charge of the ceremony, and it had already been put in the bulletin that the kids were going to do it. So he said, okay, now's the time, Mary Lou, come on up and, you know, do this piece of the program. And I said, no, it's been changed. No, I want you to do it. Come on up and do it. And the kids were now no longer willing to do it because they were told, and, you know, I was told in front of them, you're not going to do it. You know, forget it. I don't want it being done during the ceremony. And so I said twice to this other person, no, we're not going to do it. It's been taken out. Come on up, Mary Lou. So I went up and I had to stand in front of this audience, and I called over to a few of the girls that I thought would come and support me. Come over, please come over. You know, I'm going to need help with this. Only one of them, who was very shy and very intimidated, always came up and very quietly, and I had to sing that song all by myself. And I had no musical instrument, and it was all these emotions going around, you know. But afterwards I was so proud of myself, because I thought, you know what, I don't sound like a schmaltz. I'm not, you know, necessarily a solo singer. I always have excelled in having somebody around me and in building the enthusiasm of others. And that's how I saw myself, but I sang it. And about a year later, a woman came up and she said, I heard your voice that day. I was sitting way in the back and I thought, I remember that voice from years ago when you used to do that. And it was such a gift to me, and so I don't know if any of you have ever experienced something like that, where at the last minute, you had to count, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to do this, because I really didn't have an option, I don't think, and it was just one of those life experiences where I was pushed into doing it, and it benefited me greatly. It built my confidence for other times.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Whoever
That's
just put, what if I
that's
fail?
what it's
But
all
what if
about, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it's all about. Because we can choose to look at it on the fear of what if I fall? What if I, totally am a failure? But we can look at it, but like, oh, wait a minute. What if I get up there and I sing and I'm proud that I actually followed through and did that?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's exactly what you were saying, Jean,
Yeah.
But what if? Looking at the positive what if. Yeah, just wanted to share that because that's what it reminded me of what Jean
It's
was
beautiful,
talking.
Teri.
And
Yeah.
Mary Lou,
You always come up
Brian.
with the best things of affirmation.
It's the angels.
Oh, Teri, I tried the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 yesterday when I went back to Sonia's website. I'd been on it before when you had kind of mentioned it when you were in Mount Shasta. And I was a little bit apprehensive because I started seeing dragon. And I was like, well, what exactly does it mean? And, we're always told, listen to yourself and, ask questions. So yesterday after the show, I went back onto the site. I did my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I registered completely and I started. And then I understood that the dragon is actually a seraphim. So I was, and I said, okay, it's okay. You can look in its eyes. So that was my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 moment. Go.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Good. I'm so glad you registered. And there's a circle that she does the third Sunday of each month. So hopefully you'll be there. I'm going to be there.
Yes.
And I want to find out a lot more about the Christ codes.
Yes, so do I. Thank you.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else have one of your sayings that you chose? Charlie, did you share yours? I know you shared Erica's.
Who, Charlie or me?
Charlie.
Yeah, I shared mine. You don't remember?
Well, I knew you shared two of Erica's.
There will always be someone who can't see your word. Right. Don't let it be you.
Don't let it be
you.
Now I remember. Thank you. Linda, you had one?
Yes. And there's a whole streaming thing that I'm going to go through with this. Should have, could have, would have, did.
Did.
Okay. This is the beginning of my thinking.
Okay.
When I was a child, I first thought, wouldn't it be nice if I had known this years ago? I've beaten myself up for years where I could have just done it and didn't have to go through the process of after. I should have done it. I could have done it. And this is one of my mother's famous sayings. And I kind of and she was like that. She wouldn't do it. So I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying a lot of times you're the product of your environment. So I've had that same feeling and I've been beating myself up for years. And then I thought, it would have been really nice to have this when I was younger. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if teenagers did this? Because they go through so much and they blame themselves that I'm not good enough and I'm afraid to take a chance. And what if I don't look good? Or what if I choose the wrong lipstick? And it's like, it's so hard to be a teenager. And then I thought, I have a teenage granddaughter, and she suggested we do a book club with her mom and dad and my husband and myself and any other family. And she likes to read, but she'd rather discuss it with adults than with people her age. So I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to do this book next and to have her listen to the adults on how they have the same feelings and they hesitate and they're not always sure of themselves. And, she's not alone. And we've gone through some of the things she's going through. And for her to understand there's really different personalities, because her mom is a do it 5 minutes ago type of person. I mean, she doesn't even have to count. She just does everything. And I'm the opposite. And my husband's the opposite. And my son, Mike, her adopted father, he waffles between, he has so many things going on. He can't do them all at once. But it would just, I think, be so interesting for her to hear our perspective on that, since she does want to hear from adults. And, maybe would help her over her humps of being a teenager.
Great. That's
So,
a big idea.
So Linda, did I hear you correctly? It was the teenager that suggested this?
no, I'm thinking.
Oh, you're thinking. Okay.
Going back to my childhood and my teenage
Right.
years, you go through so much and you don't realize it unless you keep a diary or somebody at that age now.
Right.
And then I thought, well, my granddaughter is a teenager and she's probably going through the same thing. So it was, isn't it nice she doesn't have to do this, or she doesn't hear shoulda, coulda, woulda, because they do things. But, you always, I think teenagers feel judged a lot. So it was just a train of thought, like I said. Train goes around in a circle.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's on time. Nothing is out of order, So it's come before you, and she's ready. She reads a lot, and this is a great book because I just see her thanking you a lot. That's what's coming through. It's it's really good. And you never know, she might pick it up and have her own little people that she starts telling them, her peers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, maybe it will lead to her and I having some conversations.
Absolutely.
Getting a little bit closer.
I think
Because I don't see her that often. She's in Tampa and she's busy and she's quite an achiever. But everybody has doubts, I think.
Did I misunderstand you? I think you said she wanted to read a book with the family.
Yes.
So she in a way, it was her idea, but not just this particular book. Her idea was to read a book with the family and share with the family. So
she suggested we do a book.
Yeah. That's what I've noticed about this younger. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's what I've noticed about this younger generation is that they seem to do things more on instinct than we did. They are different than what we were. They seem to, they don't have to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 because they've already got it built in. And I think sometimes that's why we have a hard time understanding them, because we were all, like you said, conditioned by our environment to, think about everything and just wear it out before we even do anything. And the younger generation, I like them. I think like Grace says, I think it's the time for them to be like that, for us to be like that, for the human race.
Like the book says, it doesn't matter the result as long as you're just doing it.
Yeah. I found that sometimes the younger generation, they're, as you said, Jean and Charlie, they're wired to just go, but their going is because of technology. It's because of the iPhone. you ask them, do you know the meaning of this Wikipedia? Boom. So it's on their fingertips, but I don't think they really understand. I have some of them who say, yeah, I can do that. And all they know is Wikipedia. And they turn around and they're like, but how did you know that? So I also feel that they're wired for that, but sometimes they don't understand it because everything is instant. It's instant. And there are some things that have to be mulled over for 1 second. But the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule also would do for them. A lot of them are fearful. You put them out there without their iPhone, they can't move. You know, they can't do what they're going to do. So I feel with that, this book resonates for me with Linda in that we are the ones to show them that, yes, that is wonderful to be on the go and to just do, but you need to understand what you're doing or where you're headed. Because sometimes, you know, I have a very good friend of mine, her daughter, you tell her, could you set the table? She just goes, picks up the forks and knives, just sets it. Doesn't even rinse them or wipe them, you know. So it's good, it's right there, but sometimes I think they may be looking for a little bit of a rope, or I don't know what to say, but that's what my thoughts were.
Easy
And
button.
Linda,
Oh,
I hope
kids,
you do suggest it to her. I hope you do suggest it to her, you know, to take a look at the book and, you know, and then wait and see if she accepts it or not, you know, but it's a great opportunity. It's what Mel Gibson said, you know, lean into the opportunities, you know,
Oh, wow.
so I think it's a great idea.
You know, and I just want to say the kids, I'm going to stick up for them just a little bit. Not kids. They're kids because I'm 50. So that's why I call them kids, okay? Because I'm older. Young people, it's not a personality flaw in any of our generations. It's just there are some things that unless we experience them in life, we can't possibly know. And this is something that even adults struggle with that I would love to tell. I don't blame young adults getting angry with older people for, you know, holding them accountable for something that they have no way of knowing because they just simply don't have that life experience, especially when I can tell you, I know many of my own peers who think they know something and yet have never walked 1 second doing what they are talking about and have just as little to add actual real knowledge. You know, I remember I've had a couple of professors in my life where they would, I mean, literally professors who would say, okay, the university tells me or the college tells me that I have to teach you this, this, and this in this textbook. But let me tell you, go ahead and memorize this for this test that they're going to make me give you a test on. And then I want you to forget everything that you read from out of this book, because this is the real life experience, you know, that not everything's going to be all put into this book. And so the real life experience may look a little more like this, but I have to teach you this way because that's what we test you on or whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I just think that, like I said, I think sometimes hold young people to a standard that we don't hold ourselves to and expectations that, you know, but I do see there's different attitudes, I guess, in some of these different generations. And I do like the more openness that I see with the young people. And it seems to be a lot more openness across the board, whether that has to do with gender issues or climate issues or anything. I mean, they just a little bit more open than perhaps my generation even was. And I'm a Gen Xer, so. But I'll go ahead and I'll just hurry up and throw this in. This was mine. Speak from the heart, even if your voice shakes. That's been something that I have I've been tested on that before. And as scary as it was, I did stand up. And, you know, I think, you know, those really are, because I've always been somebody who's spoken up for the underdog. I've always been a bigger girl. Even when I was growing up, in some grades in elementary, I was like sometimes a foot taller than some of the other people in my class. I just was always very tall, especially early on. I seemed to get taller and everything. And so I very seldom got bullied. I just didn't. People just didn't mess with me. I guess because I was bigger than them is what they thought.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So they didn't really mess with me. And so I kind of got into that. I wanted to like speak up for the people that couldn't speak for themselves, or I was the anti-bully. I was the one that would get in the middle and go, no, you go over there and you go over there. Or, you know, or if I saw someone being abused, I would stand up for them. Always found it easier though to do it for someone else than myself, and I will say that. But I didn't get really tested too much in that area, so I don't know. That was my little saying though that I liked, and I also liked the close second was the one that Charlie. And I'm glad that I didn't put that down because I would have had the same one Charlie did. So, but I like.
Yeah. Tina, I just watched a movie last night called Thunder Force. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It's Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, right. Oh, the okay. Yeah.
Where she stands up for her friend that's being bullied, and the guy knocking her friend down on the ground, and she comes over and like, you know.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I've been able to stand up for others more before I would stand up for myself in the past also.
Yeah, in the past. I mean, I'm trying to change and shift that a little bit, but you know, I just remember that early on that's how I was. And I was at one point, I actually was a firefighter. So as you can imagine, especially 25 years ago, there was, I'm sure there still is, stigmas and some ceilings that had to be broken through, shall I put it that way? And I had a very scary situation, quite frankly, where I had someone in charge of basically whether I was going to live or die in some situations, who was not acting at all appropriately. And I had to find my voice in that. And that was super scary. And it got scary as it went on. And I have to say, this is something though that helps the younger people. I'm not so sure I would have done the same thing now as an older person, because I know how very truly difficult that situation became that lasted for years of having to continuously stay strong for myself. And there were a lot of very bad things that happened, from everything from pets that were poisoned and killed to, I mean, it just was not a good situation. And like I said, sometimes that younger, if you don't know what's going to happen, you can be a little bit braver. So if you don't think about stuff, maybe you can springboard a little bit. And so there is a part in the book that said something about that, about not thinking too long about it. Just do it. Just get out there and do it. Don't think about it. And I was thinking about that when I was reading. I'm like, oh boy, because I don't know if I would have taken that path or if I would have kept my mouth shut, quite frankly, knowing what I know now from experience and how hard that was. But I was young and naive and had no idea.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Is there anybody that hasn't shared your quote that wants to?
I think we all shared.
Okay.
Did you, Linda?
Yeah, I did, about my granddaughter.
Oh, yes, you did. Book. That's right. I'm sorry. Awesome. I thought you started to pick up a book and then didn't do it.
Oh, it was a shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Oh, okay.
Let's go. All right. Well, thank you all for this wonderful discussion today. We are out of time. And
we're going to end with our ringtones?
With our ringtones.
You were supposed to pick a ringtone. Did you do your homework?
Ringtones. I did my poster homework.
There was also ringtones.
I didn't do it.
I don't remember the ringtones, Charlie.
I don't
There
even know
was
what you're talking
ringtone.
about.
Yeah, everyone was supposed to pick a ringtone and bring a
Instead of
ringtone.
like a
We were
stamper
too. I
button.
totally forgot about it. Dang it. He's right. He is not kidding. We did decide
Yeah,
that. And then
right.
I didn't do it either.
On
So
the
I'm just gonna
phone?
mess up to it right away. Or some kind of an audio clip.
What is yours, Charlie?
Oh,
What'd you do?
what did you do?
I can't hear it.
Can't hear anything.
Oh, why can't you hear
I don't
it?
know, play yours. He played mine.
I played hard.
Makes you want to dance.
Holly.
Now do Erica's again and put the phone like in the front like you did that time.
Like
Because
this.
we didn't hear the first one.
No, we didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Erica.
Bad phone.
Way to go, Erica. I love that.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I did it. I'm bad to the bone. I'm bad.
There you go.
Bad.
Exactly. Bad. Bad to the bone.
So
We were talking about the button. That was easy at Staples. And then we each thought we'd pick something like as a good for you or something happy
Yeah.
when you finish something.
Yeah.
Have the ringtone.
yeah, so
Like
it
a
was like
ringtone.
everybody pick a ringtone and bring it next week. And that's when I came up with well, let's also pick out a thing like we did for Matthew, a saying.
Yeah,
So,
we got that one.
all right.
I'm reading the Bible when you're saying
on our test.
Matthew's
blonde
running for
The-
governor of
The
Texas.
next governor of
He
Texas.
is running for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they said he's already like 60% of the people are already, want him to run. He's still deciding, but he's
He'll do it. He'll do it.
yeah.
Green light, green light.
That's right.
He
The
will.
red light's there.
All right, all right.
All right.
All the way, Matthew. Go all
And
the way
then
to
that
the top.
dance thing he does with the elbow, Jean, can you do that?
No.
The
What?
Texas thumb with the elbow? That dance. Come on. He
I
does
have
the
no
dance.
idea what you're talking about.
Elbow.
A hokey pokey.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
he
you
does
put
some with
your-
one. No.
No.
I know what
The
you're
one
talking
elbow.
about.
He does some kind of dance.
Will you do it, Erica?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Show
remember
us.
it. It was
5,
a Texas
12, 2,
dance.
1, dance.
I have no idea
It
what
was
you're
a
talking
Texas
about.
Me either.
dance.
Is it a Texas thing? Is that what you're
Yeah, that's why I asked you to do it.
Wow.
saying?
That
I'm
ain't gonna
not up
happen.
on Texas things. I'm barely in Texas. I'm mostly in New Mexico. So
That's not funny. You're a
Not the
Texas.
hokey pokey. Are you talking about like the square dance like thing or something?
No, he did something with an arm dance.
Oh.
Like he had his arm. He was standing on stage talking about
the only
it.
thing I know is the chicken thing.
Go ahead, Gene, do the chicken dance.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the sounds was a duck quacking. I almost picked that one, but I didn't. I just went on the phone and we listened to all the different ringtones and
Oh,
just
my problem is I always pick one that sounds like music, and then the phone rings, and I'm like, "Where's that music coming from?"
I like, all the nature kind of sounds and stuff too. And then I'm like, well, that's just dumb because birds singing and stuff like that. I don't know. My phone is going off.
All right,
I need
Erica,
something that says,
that's what we're
"Hey,
talking
you want
about.
it on the phone?"
Oh, well, you found it, Teri?
I don't know. Let's see if this is what Erica's talking about. Is that it?
Yeah,
Elbow slice.
The elbow
Yeah.
slice move. Oh my goodness.
yeah, he was doing that on stage.
Oh my gosh.
I never saw that before.
I guess I missed it.
He
Me
was
too.
doing it on stage when he was talking about
Not that
Rosa.
hard.
No, there's not a whole lot to it.
There you go. Elbow
Hey,
slice.
we can be governor too.
He made it look a lot better.
Governor too.
Governor Gene, I love it.
Oh,
Oh, gosh.
Oh my goodness, this has been so much fun. You know, I have loved the conversations about this book and where it takes us. That's the thing. It's like we don't just stick with everything about the book. It's like it takes us off on a little cookie crumb trail. Like, where are we going with this?
Magic carpet ride.
Well, I think just by the nature of the kind of books that we do in this particular book club, it leads to thought processes and things like that that may go out into left field just by the nature of the kind of things that we read.
Yeah.
We've been getting a very rounded education. I
we
feel
really
like
have.
we've been getting, not exactly, it's like a preparation for further insight, further enlightenment. It's, and like you all have said, tools. It's given us a lot of tools for our toolbox.
Helps us to go in so that we can go out with others.
Exactly.
Can we
But
close
what I
it
wanted to ask was for next week, are we continuing or are we doing a new book next week?
I think we got one more week of this.
Yeah, we're
right?
going to do monthly so that it doesn't get.
Oh, okay.
confusing.
But how about deciding on the other book so we can get it?
All right, well, let's go off
Maybe
the air.
if we
and
go
can
off the
decide on
air.
that.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry,
Say
everybody.
goodbye to everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste, y'all. Keep
Love
reading.
you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Namaste.
Bye,